Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Nicole, a life and business coach for high-functioning women. I'm a self-proclaimed foodie, content creator, educator, and your new abundance bestie. In my world, we talk about all things to do with elevating your life. I post weekly videos helping the everyday woman embody her highest self, create inner wealth, master her mindset, unlock her femininity, and be an absolute boss in life. I create resources, trainings, and host experiences online and in person in order to help you reconnect to your true self. Not the one you think you need to be, but the you that you were born to be. So you can reclaim your power and amplify your voice to lead, love, and create as a woman. If you like my vibe and you want a little bit more abundance in your life, hit subscribe to be notified whenever I drop a new episode. And be sure to check out the free resources in the description below. Hello, my loves, and welcome back to the podcast. I've just come away from an amazing 5-day trip in Melbourne. I got to see Alyssa, who is one of my friends / business colleagues, and she got married to her dream hubby, and it was just amazing. The story behind it all was just so magical because if you have been following my Instagram, you'll know that Alyssa and I only met in Thailand last year, so less than 10 months ago. And she attended one of my first vision board workshops. And at that workshop, she was actually single and had set the intention that she wanted to get engaged and married. At the time, though, she had no prospects, no guys that she was involved with, and no clue where they were coming from. And she almost even gave up on the dating scene around about the time that I was living in with her. I lived with her for a little while before I moved to Bali for a few months. And I remember having that conversation with her where she was just going to release the whole dating thing and just kind of let things happen in their own way. And lo and behold, literally less than 6 months from the moment she put that image on her vision board of a pink wedding dress and getting married and engaged, she was getting married and we were sending her off to be able to enter that life of being a married woman, as well as they're doing a really fun thing where they're embarking on a big Australian adventure in a van that they've decked out themselves, and they're just going to be living and working on the road, which is so awesome. Don't you just love when stories work out that way? It's so fun, and I feel like it's nice and refreshing as well to be around people who live their life boldly and in alignment to what works for them, ignoring what everybody else has to say or comment. And so huge congratulations to Alyssa and MJ. I'm so excited for you guys. I'm so happy for you. And, back to what I was just about to say, I was in Melbourne for 5 days and it was just so refreshing as well for me to just be in a different setting, to experience city living. And we were staying right in the heart of the city where all the food is. And Melbourne is it's just chef's kiss of all food centrals in Australia. So I just had a blast eating my way through the city. Gained a few kilos, but who cares? This is why I travel. And it was just really fun. So I feel refreshed, I feel excited, and I feel ready to talk to you guys about this very, very, very important topic. Today we're going to talk about feminine and masculine outputs. And in essence, it's about helping you learn how to work in harmony with your own energy, because we all have a dynamic of feminine and masculine energies. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what these actually mean so you can have a little bit of an understanding. However, I am not going to be able to go in depth into it as much as I'd like to because it's a whole as topic. If you are interested in diving more into the topic itself and learning a more, systemized way of understanding them, if you're into your kind of webinar style trainings, you can sign up for my free training on masculine and feminine energy, which will be linked in the description of this episode. But in essence, I'm going to talk about masculine and feminine energies in essence. And then we're going to talk about the interchangeable, flowy nature of being able to work with both of those energies and being able to, apply them in your lived reality, because this is something that a lot of us have never been taught or didn't even know existed, and it will give an explanation to you of why you are maybe operating the way you are right now and so on. So I'm going to talk to you guys about working with those energies, as well as being able to tap into the part of you that maybe has been neglected. So I'm going to do a completely different episode for masculine and feminine energetic wounds, which is a huge, huge topic. Again, it will be so liberating for those of you who decide to listen to it. But for this episode, I just want to talk a little bit more to wrap up about the feminine component of learning to really harness that feminine aspect of your energy. Because for most of you who are listening to this podcast, those of you who follow me, who align with my work and my mentoring, it's most likely that you are struggling to harness your feminine or haven't harnessed it as much as you'd like, and you are now coming to a point both in life and business where you do want to be able to harness more of that feminine energy. So we're going to talk a little bit about some practices to bring yourself back into the being, into the mindfulness of your feminine, and embodying that aspect of your femininity, especially if it's something that you have not been embodying lately or have just recognized that you maybe tend to struggle with, or you feel guilty when you embody your feminine expressions and things like that. Okay, so let's get into today's topic. So let's talk a little bit about masculine and feminine energy to begin with. So as you know, and as you'll learn in the free training if you sign up for it, is masculine and feminine energies are not gendered. These are not gender types. These are energy archetypes. They exist in duality, and within us, we carry both of these energies. So they are almost like a state of being or a state of existing. And so we are often in the duality of both, carrying within us the two opposing but complementary forces of feminine energy and masculine energy. Like yin and yang, like the sun and the moon, like light and the dark, feminine and masculine energies are binary, and they exist in nature, and they exist in us as well. So in essence, the fact that there is a duality means that one cannot exist without the other. Your masculine and feminine flow is how you ebb and flow between the two, and how you interchange and kind of dance in the middle of both. And they are best expressed coexisting, or in a coexisting way. So what does it mean to work with that masculine and feminine energy? It will come down to understanding what these both look like in their essence, or when they are expressed. So again, watch the training to get more of a thorough explanation and specific examples. However, just for this episode, I'm going to summarize it for you, okay? All right, so masculine energy is all about logic and action, whereas feminine energy is about being, feeling, creating, and intuition. Now, we can either balance, polarize, or dance in between these energies. In a highly masculine world, and in a world where patriarchal structures exist because of the male domination, the male dominated industries like business, schooling, a lot of the way that we learn, a lot of the way we're programmed, a lot of the way we're conditioned to be is through the masculine approach, which often means that we're channeling more of our masculine energy. So how we can learn to kind of dance in between and work in harmony with these energies is to understand the beauty of each of these and how they work dynamically with each other, rather than sort of demonizing one or the other. Because I think that sometimes, because of how polarizing they can be, especially in society, when we kind of look at it through the lens of like male and female genders, we can err to the side of constantly viewing males or masculine things and operations as negative if we have this breakthrough that we want to be more feminine. And it can lead to more of a feminist approach that doesn't honor the masculine and the beauty of what masculine brings as well. So I want us to kind of expand our awareness by looking at these two energies and these two archetypes as two different things. So you'll again learn more of this in the training, but in essence, feminine energy or femininity is all about love, life force. It's about being, it's about feeling, it's about movement, flow, emotions. It's about receiving, expressing, creating, and nurturing. So your typical sort of gender archetype will be like a woman or a mother, but again, it's not gendered, it's just more visual or visible if you imagine it that way. Now, the masculine energy or masculinity, again, it's not negative, it's just the paradox, the opposite, the duality of the feminine, which is all to do with decision making, support, structure, problem solving, logic, consciousness. It's about ideas, being grounded. It's about giving, pursuing. It's about purpose, mission, freedom. So as you can see, the masculine energy is very, very much so action oriented and outcome oriented. It's about logic, whereas the feminine is all about being, experiencing, feeling, and intuitive. And so, you know, the typical archetype for a masculine energy, if we were to be kind of visually represented, would be your macho man who's sort of like, you know, what we envision men to be like in the Disney movies or in workplaces where the bosses are usually quite masculine. Again, ungendered, but just a visual for you to understand. So hopefully you can wrap your head around those two constructs of what masculine, feminine sort of energies look like. And now when we're talking about working with the flow of these energies and understanding that they actually work in harmony with one another rather than opposing or canceling out one another, it's helpful to understand that there are times in our day, there are times in our week, in our lives that we will call upon one or the other more. And that's what is most helpful to know. When you can understand that you can be both in your masculine and feminine at the same time, and you can also choose to lean more in your feminine or lean more in your masculine in certain seasons to create certain outcomes or to have a more ease in your life, you're able to then work with your energy rather than against it. And what I see so much is that so many of us want to have more effortless and abundant experiences of life, but we are not aware of the energies that we're kind of operating in. And sometimes we're operating in wounded masculine or wounded feminine. And that's where we create sort of this kind of toxic experience where we don't create the results we want. And we're wondering why the heck we are experiencing life the way we are, even though we're trying to push or we're trying to figure it out. That's sort of that misalignment and the wounding that often needs to be healed and worked through that I work with a lot of my clients on. But let's say for the women in my world right now, or those of you who are probably listening to this feeling that numbness or disconnection from life, or if you have a business, disconnection from your business, this misalignment or the inability to understand those energies for yourself and how to harness them often shows up as feeling like you're on a hamster wheel doing the same thing over and over again and like trying to make a change but not really getting anywhere. And that numbing is often it's caused by the desensitization to that energy flow, to the way that your energy actually moves through you and how masculine and feminine are harnessed. When you're disconnected from your emotions, you're disconnected from the energy inside of your body. And if energy is too woo, it's literally the vibrations in your body that you name as a sensation or as an emotion. Every single emotion is simply a vibration in your body, which you interpret as sensations, and then you place a label of an emotion on top, right? This is the way that it works, right? When you break it down to an atomic level. When you're so much in your masculine, for example, your masculine energy, you're so in your doing, you're so in your outcome oriented or your routines, then what usually happens is you neglect your physical body, you neglect your emotional health, your spiritual health, and those are the things which are actually attributes of the feminine energy. It's when you are in feminine and not in your masculine, you're able to feel, you're able to create and be creative, you're able to experience life, you're able to experience joy, wonder, and you're not so much trying to make an outcome out of everything. You're just allowing yourself to be and to exist in the experience of being human, even if your human experience is not the prettiest or the smoothest or the easiest, right? So when you look at these masculine and feminine energies in polarity, you're able to kind of see how like the human experience actually calls us to have the both. And when we are too far one way or the other, we sort of disconnect from ourselves and we disconnect from the world. Just imagine if you were so deeply in your feminine and you were just feeling and creating and just being, and you didn't have any goals, you didn't have any constructs, you didn't have anything that caused you to challenge or problem solve or rise up to an occasion or step into your potential, then you probably wouldn't get much done. The same thing with if you were completely in your masculine and you never rested, you always felt guilty for giving yourself pleasure or for allowing yourself to enjoy, or you never let yourself feel things, then likely you will hurt your physical body, your emotional body, your mental health. And also you're going to be completely detached from the world and those that make your world what it is and that make life meaningful. So you can see how like we can sort of in society, we can kind of fall into either of these categories as if they're the only way, but I'm here to show you kind of that balance between the two. And the goal with understanding these masculine, feminine energies or in the work of energetics is really just to help you harness that ability to get in touch with what's going on inside of you at any given moment and to use it as a personal map, so that you can observe patterns in your world, direct your actions, and affect your results more effortlessly instead of kind of going against the grain of your own energetic blueprint, your own design, your own ebbs and flows of what makes you you, and trying to kind of do it the way that everybody else does. At the end of the day, we know that in the world of energetics, in the world of quantum, everything on the outside is just a mirror of what's going on the inside. So even if you're not in the world or into the whole quantum or energetic space, just think of it as what you allow on the inside will eventually become your reality on the outside. And everything that you and I experience is really just that. It's our internal world reflected into our physical experience. And that's what makes for our lived reality at any given moment at the end of the day, right? And you guys already know this to be true. So the real gift of being able to understand masculine and feminine energies is that you are able to understand your it's like you can catch yourself when you are not operating in your best energy. For example, if you have set a business goal of being able to create X amount of income within a year, and you have not been working on your business consistently, you have not learned the new skills that you need to improve your sales or your conversions, maybe you have not set yourself clear, tangible goals or taken any initiative on the goals that you set. If you have not done any of these things, then likely you have just been operating in purely feminine. And I have some clients in my flow-based business coaching that are in this space, and their struggle, especially those kind of women who are really dependent on their feminine or are very connected to their spirituality, I find that, for example, wellness coaches who really understand this work of surrender and release, they can sort of err to the side of completely being in their feminine, and then in their business, they struggle to kind of get results or to have structure, or to have clarity, or to adhere to strategies. And they need to kind of have a flip of the switch where they need to tap into that masculine, logical, outcome-oriented, very driven, ambitious side of them. And that is one way that you can sort of harness and catch yourself hey, I'm too much in my feminine. And it's not a problem that I know how to harness my feminine. It's that I want to call in more masculine if I'm going to create this certain outcome. But it doesn't go to say that you can't create a certain outcome without tapping into your feminine either, because that's also the magic of building your business in a flow-based way. When you work with me, I actually help you figure out, like, if there is a goal at hand, how would the masculine output look like? And what would the feminine output look like as well? So we sort of work with you on figuring out the expressions of achieving the same goal, however, doing it in either masculine, feminine ways, and then doing it in an integrated way so that it actually supports you on a holistic sense and in a sustainable way. You can actually build it into your business workflow. So those are kind of the things that, in a business sense, that's what it would look like, harnessing the masculine energies and feminine energies. On a personal sense, it might look exactly the same, but applied to your health goals. For example, if you are completely, let's say you're on the other side of that. We flip the coin. You are always in the gym. You are constantly like, you know, pumping the iron. You are a power lifter. You're hardcore gym girly. You're always trying to hit your 10K steps. You're always tracking everything. You're on top of your calories. You're always on your water intake. So instead of meeting yourself where you are for that day, in that moment, and feeling out what you need, you might force yourself to grind through your session, to get up and just do the damn walk. And you ignore or not even acknowledge how you feel on the inside and sort of invalidate your emotions, which is very harmful to your self-concept and to the ability to practice self-trust as well, because you're basically just ignoring a deep need and a deep desire for yourself to see you. So maybe in that moment, there's an internal need for rest, or an internal need to just receive and be in that feminine being, feeling energy, instead of that push, outcome-oriented, must get it done sort of energy. And I think that, you know, for me, that's something that I personally struggled with a lot, especially doing powerlifting as my primary sport and being really driven as well. I'm a very driven person when it comes to goals in the gym. And especially if they're tied to sort of athletic goals, like competing at a competition and things like that. And for me, I'm typically at the gym like 4 to 5 times a week. I used to be that 5 a.m. girly who would get in, and I used to track every single day of steps. I used to weigh my food meticulously, and these strategies really worked for me to a certain degree, to a certain level. However, I noticed that there was a huge imbalance in my activities throughout the week that came from that feminine energy, that came from the being and the feeling and the allowing. And so that's when I decided I would integrate more activities that sort of balanced out that energy. So instead of just having a 80% push kind of schedule, I wanted to integrate things that would allow me to just be.
If you want to take your abundance to another level, I want to help you. I'm a life and business coach for women who want to step into their next level by activating wealth from the inside out. To help you take your first step to unlocking true abundance and your aligned potential, I'm giving you free resources, workshops, and masterclasses that you can access on demand right now. Check out www.nicoleconception.co/free-resources to get your hands on it. For more videos like this, check out the other playlists and series I have on this channel, and don't forget to hit subscribe to be notified whenever I drop a new video. And if you're more of the podcast type, check out Freedom in Flow, where I dive even deeper into the concepts that will help you create less hustle and more flow, abundance, and alignment in your life and business. Now, if you're a reader, you'll want to subscribe to my email list for unfiltered, honest, and most importantly, applicable life upgrades. Now, don't be a stranger. Connect with me on Instagram and TikTok and send me a message. I love getting to know you and your story. It's why I do this. Okay, my lovely, that's all for now. I'll see you soon. Signing off, Nicole.